It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows,
Cabela's,
Antler Action,
Spot Shooter Archery,
Tom's Custom Turkey Calls,
Family Traditions Tree Stands,
Badass Slingshots,
and Mossy Oak.
I shoot PSE because I like one pin to 40 yards.
I shoot PSE for the perfect combination of feel and performance.
I shoot PSE because you can shoot lighter poundage and increase arrow speed.
I shoot PSE for the fastest bows on the planet.
I shoot PSE because my livelihood depends on my bow.
I shoot PSE because better engineering makes a better bow.
I shoot PSE.
I shoot PSE.
I shoot PSE. I shoot PSE.
Experience PSE. Experience performance.
We know the future of hunting depends on our nation's youth. But did you know that in many states, it's illegal for you to take your son or daughter hunting until the age of 12 or even older? As a result, we have fewer young hunters, and the Families Afield program is designed to eliminate those barriers. Hunting is safe, and the safest hunters afield are young people with adult mentors. Visit our website at familiesafield.org to find out how you can bring more families afield.
Welcome back to another Up North Journal minicast. And, if you listen to the show this week, we've been talking with David McIntyre, who is on alone. And we've got David online right now.
Nothing like having an expert.
Yeah, expert in the field. But David, the question I've got, for a hunter, person maybe hunting out west, maybe going out on an elk hunt, maybe in the Rockies, or maybe even a person here in Michigan that we know, going up to northern Michigan. And they're gonna go to their cabin for the weekend, but they're going to get away from that area and then do some hunting. Anything can go wrong at any given time. What are 3, 4, 5 things that you recommend as a survivalist that we should absolutely have in our backpack in case of an emergency?
Let me back you up from that. If you're going to go off by yourself somewhere, you need to let somebody know, and you need to let them know when you're coming back. And preferably that should be somebody who loves you. Not your boss is going to miss you on Monday morning.
Great point.
That's how you would not believe how many people are found because the boss missed them. Your husband didn't show up to work. Oh, I didn't even realize he hadn't come home.
Wow.
That kind of thing happens, and especially with single people, that's who misses them is their boss.
That makes
Let
sense.
somebody know that you are going. I would say the other thing is your cell phone. Make sure it's charged up. Make sure you have a battery, and know if you have a signal or not. A cell phone has changed everything.
Okay.
Many people go out there with a GPS. They think, I've got a GPS. I'll never get lost. No, if the GPS craps out, you have to revert back to a map and a compass. And if you don't know how to use a map and a compass, then you need to do that. Don't just throw them in your pack and not know how to run those things.
Okay.
But compass skills are essential, not to get turned around, to know how to orient a map, know how to find where you are. That's how you get unlost. Okay, so I would say those things are preparatory, but you should always have a means to light fire. Smokers have a great advantage in that. They always have a lighter. If you don't smoke, you have to intentionally carry the means to make fire. You should have a flashlight. You should have some reliable means or a headlamp or something because you don't see in the dark. That's one thing that I would definitely have is a flashlight. If you're in the winter, those Mylar space blankets are worth their weight in gold. They cost, $2?
Right.
And they will keep you warm. Reliable means to make fire, because people die of dehydration and hypothermia.
Okay.
That's the two ways that no one dies of starvation in the woods. If they're starving to death, they'll eventually get so weak that they die of hypothermia or they die of dehydration. So the means to purify water, make a fire, and give yourself a dry overhead cover. And that's what wilderness survival looks like. If you can get yourself in a dry shelter in front of a fire with a pot of boiling water on it, you're just camping.
That's the way to put it.
And you have to carry the means to do that.
Okay. And I got to imagine that those things you just mentioned are not heavy, so you're not weighting yourself down in your pack.
No, they're not. My entire survival kit weighs 2.2 pounds, 1 kilogram. Okay,
Wow.
and out of that shelter, within an hour, I can make fire, shelter, water. I've been sleeping on a bed under a Mylar space blanket, underneath a plastic folded tarp roof, with a fire, with water purification tablets, and a 5-liter bag of water in front of me.
Okay.
My problems are solved. You want your wilderness survival kit to solve your problems without any kind of improvisation or the use of any natural materials. People think of wilderness survival as, I'm going to go out there with just a knife. Anybody who does that, anybody who finds themselves in a wilderness survival situation with just a knife and blade skills is an idiot. That's not preparing. Okay, your skill set might be that great, but you don't want to have to rely on that.
Right on.
If I need a fire, I don't want to make a bow drill.
Right.
I want to flick a bic.
Make it as easy as possible. There you go.
Exactly. I mean, they say the more you know, the less you carry. Well, I say the more you know, the more you know to carry a bic.
Okay. Right on.
That's pretty simple. Pretty simple logic there.
I would think so.
Yeah.
It's and like you said, those things are not heavy. You're not weighting yourself down, and
they're not expensive either.
Danny, do you carry anything in your pack just in case, or do you rely on the fact that you're real close to your cabin?
I rely that I'm really close to my cabin. Plus, I'm usually never hunting alone.
Okay. All right.
So my cousin knows we know if somebody isn't back at a certain time, start getting worried.
One of the 5 things is a whistle, a really loud whistle.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. You fall down in the deer woods and you fire off 3 shots with your rifle. All you've said is, I just shot a deer.
Right.
But if you're out there blowing a whistle after you broke your knee in deer season, someone's going to think, who is that idiot blowing a whistle on opening day of deer season? They're going to come looking for you to gun you down, and they see you broke your leg and haul you out of the woods.
Exactly. Right. No, you're right. But our camp rule is make sure everybody's back. Somebody's not back. We've had that situation too.
Okay.
One of my cousins didn't come back. It was getting late, 8, 9 o'clock. We're like, all right, get ready. Let's go look for him because we know where he's at.
Something's
right.
arrived.
What he did was he was coming back by compass because it was dark, and he was running out of matches, and he took a wrong turn.
Okay.
He ended up taking the long way to the cabin as opposed to the short.
Gotcha.
He ended up,
The one that I do carry like a small first aid kit in my backpack. I mean, we hunt with usually we've got anywhere from 10 to 14 hunters on the property, but you never know. Like you said, David, you fall down. You crack over out of a tree stand, and you cut yourself on the way down or something, and you need to dress a wound, what have you. That's one thing I do kind of keep in my pack to make sure, because you just never know. Something goes wrong, and you want to be prepared. So.
Well, the basics of wilderness survival are shelter, fire, water, signals, navigation, and food.
Okay.
And medical. Okay. You have to be able to cover those things for yourself on your own with what you have.
That's pretty much it in a nutshell.
And it's easy as flicking a bic.
According to him,
That's
yes.
Right.
And it only weighs 2.2 pounds?
The whole pack.
Yeah, 2.2 pounds, my entire survival kit. There's a video on it on my YouTube channel.
Okay, we're going to have to check that out.
Yep.
You mind if we throw a link up to that?
Sure, no problem.
We'll throw a link up and send people over that way.
There you go.
All right. So, guys, listen up. That's what you need to when you're out there in the woods. Make sure you got those basic provisions taken care of. That'll do it for this minicast. This episode was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows,
Cabela's,
Antler Action,
Spot Shooter Archery,
Tom's Custom Turkey Calls,
Family Traditions Tree Stands,
Badass Slingshots,
and Mossy Oak.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe until next week on the Up North Journal.